All right, as the 49ers concluded their offseason program, culminating with the mandatory minicamp, of their 11-player draft class, probably the one guy where there was the greatest concern about what he'd be able to contribute as a rookie is Alfred Collins, a second round draft pick from Texas, number 43 overall. And just a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had this calf injury, injured right around his or before the draft at his pro day. And I think the 49ers thought that he'd be ready to go at some point during the offseason program. He wasn't. They were, in the words of Kyle Shanahan, they were smart with him, but that, when the 49ers broke for that 40 days off, Shanahan said that he should be good by training camp. But in addition to just the physical part of it, not getting on the field, not being able to go through the normal conditioning that they would want a rookie to go through during the offseason program, 6'6", 332 pounds. That is ultra important just to get a guy ready for the rigors of the regular season. You see so many rookies just not really dial in the workouts, the conditioning to have their body ready to go. So for Alfred Collins, that's some time that is kind of lost forever. That time from when the 49ers selected him in the draft to the point where they break for those 40 days off and then they get back together. The rookies report on Tuesday, July 15th. That's tomorrow as I'm taping this on Monday. But there's an added reason for concern with this is because the rookies do report a week ahead of the veterans. And generally, what that is just to get in working with the strength and conditioning staff and just kind of dialing in that workout program so that the rookies get a full week of conditioning, cardio, everything else to just be prepared for when the veterans show up. Speaking to Kyle Juszczyk at the American Century Golf Tournament and George Kittle as well. And these guys, they know the routine of getting their bodies ready. Juszczyk in very good shape. He said he really benefited from that extra time off. Of course, time off the 49ers did not want, seeing that for the first time in a while their season ended at the end of the regular season. A little bit of apprehension or maybe, I don't know, anxiety for George Kittle. He said taking time off to golf during, 12 days before the opening of camp was something that he wasn't, kind of had to sort through that in his own mind. But both these guys in tremendous condition. They know what it takes to get ready for the regular season. The rookies, not so much. But here's the added thing. Right now, as I tape this, 32 players in the NFL were selected in the second round, obviously. Only two of those players are signed. So around the league, you're seeing this kind of weird thing where second round draft picks haven't signed. And it all kind of traces back to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans had the second pick in the second round. So they were at 34 overall. They took wide receiver Jaden Higgins. Now, Higgins signed pretty early in the process. He was the first second round pick to sign 4-year, $11.7 million contract, which that part of it is basically already kind of put into stone. That's what the players get. There's no negotiating. But what is negotiation or what is negotiable is the amount of guaranteed money. And the Houston Texans gave Jaden Higgins the first fully guaranteed contract for a second round draft pick in NFL history. So because it was fully guaranteed, that meant that then the Cleveland Browns, with the 33rd pick, with that precedent set by the Texans, they basically had no choice but to give the first pick of the second round, that's Carson Schlesinger, a fully guaranteed contract as well. So right now, the two second round picks that have fully guaranteed contracts are number 33 and number 34. The next one up is Nick Manwari from the Seattle Seahawks, and he's the 35th pick in this draft. Seattle, quite clearly, doesn't want to continue with that precedent of giving their draft pick, 35 overall, fully guaranteed. So now that's when the negotiations take place. So I don't expect, it's going to be really difficult. Maybe later in the round, um, players will start signing contracts. But just to kind of give you an idea, last year, um, the 43rd pick in the draft was Max Melton of Arizona. And the fourth year guarantee of the base salary was only $50,000. So basically 2.5% of his fourth year salary was guaranteed. He was the last of the 2024 second round draft picks who had any of his fourth year money guaranteed. So that's why there's this kind of game of chicken being played around the NFL of, who's going to be the first agent or player to accept non-fully guaranteed fourth year money. Which team is going to go beyond the 43rd pick and give guaranteed money for the 49ers. I'm sure that they looked at Max Melton's contract and said, we'll guarantee 2.5% of your fourth year guarantee. But looking at how the teams, Cleveland and Houston, um, bumped up the percentage to fully guaranteed money, now the 49ers are going to have to give more guaranteed money to Alfred Collins in that fourth year. There's also, I think, there's been a report that the 40th pick overall is Tyler Shuck, the quarterback. And so he's 40. He wants fully guaranteed money all the way through. And so if 40 wants fully guaranteed all the way through, then that would suggest that if he signs fully guaranteed, then all the other picks in front of him are going to get fully guaranteed money all the way through, all 4 years of the contract. And then the 49ers, three spots behind Tyler Shuck. So there's already been one player who has not reported to training camp. That was a Chargers wide receiver, Trey Harris. Um, 49ers, you can't report, unlike the offseason program, mini camp, whatever. There's, if you don't have a contract, you sign a waiver and you can appear in the offseason program. There's no such thing like that for training camp. Either you're signed or you're not. If you're signed, you report. If you aren't signed, you don't report. So, technically it's not a holdout because there's not a contract in hand. It's just basically a contract negotiation stalemate. But it's something to keep an eye on with, just one day left before the 49ers rookies report for training camp. Alfred Collins, probably the rookie who needs to report more than any of the other 49ers rookies just to get that big body of his in shape and start to get acclimated to the NFL process and get ready for the regular season. He's probably the one guy who can't afford to miss any time, but he right now is looking like clearly he's the rookie most in danger of missing some time. Is it a big deal? Perhaps not. Maybe he catches up to speed. We don't know what his workouts have been like leading up to this, but something to definitely keep an eye on, that Alfred Collins, all 6'6", 332 pounds. And by the way, that's what he measured in and weighed in at the NFL scouting combine. Don't know what his weight is at what it looks like at this point, but it's just this game where right now, where all the second round draft picks and all the teams with unsigned second round draft picks, all these contracts would be done if all teams said, we're giving you fully guaranteed money. But quite clearly, starting with Seattle at number 35 in this draft, teams don't want to do that. Teams don't want to be the ones, although, like I said, Houston kind of messed it up for all the second round, all the teams in the second round by giving Jaden Higgins a fully guaranteed contract. None of the other teams up to this point are willing to go to that length. So what it ends up looking like And, I think at some point, players aren't going to be getting fully guaranteed money. Does that start at Nick Emanuori at 35? Does that start with, after Tyler Shuck, the quarterback that the Saints drafted and could be a starter down the road and be, quarterbacks are always treated a little bit differently when it comes to contract negotiations. So does it start at 41? Where are the 49ers? Do they draw a line in the sand with Alfred Collins? So all that is, that's basically the reason why the second round draft picks haven't signed yet. And the 49ers are feeling that impact as much as anybody potentially with Alfred Collins in his contract. So that's a quick update on why there is concern about the 49ers second round draft pick, Alfred Collins, with the 49ers rookies scheduled to report on Tuesday, July 15th to Santa Clara for the opening of their training camp, one full week before the veterans report and the grind begins.